I'm Kenneth Cobonpue, and I'm an industrial designer. Every piece that I design needs a reason for its existence. So when I think of a concept, I have to think of the original inspiration, because every piece needs to have a soul. And then all the real world things like the comfort and price and materials and how it's to be constructed should come later. Because when I think about all these things at the start, then everything just falls apart. So it's very important that I never lose the reason why I had to make that piece. And when I create a shape, sometimes it takes a life of its own and it veers away from the original inspiration. The problem is a lot of design looks too much like their original inspiration. Then it becomes corny, or it becomes really faddish. So the skill of a designer is where he starts to translate his inspiration into something totally different. And then that piece takes a life of its own. I think great design is a design that stands the test of time. It's devoid of fads or trends. And I think it's really difficult nowadays, in the age of social media, to try to create something that still transcends all that. And it becomes more difficult every year because there's so much out there. And I think great design is a marriage, people say, always of form and function. But to me, great design should really be first and foremost about form, about aesthetics, about beauty. Because function is always subjective, you know, and a piece can be so beautiful that I don't care if it doesn't work. You know? And that's, I think, the responsibility of a designer in this world, that he creates something that's beautiful, that's precious, and that's timeless. I draw inspiration from everywhere, from my travels, from other cultures, from things we grew up with, from my fantasy, from dreams. Inspiration can come actually from everywhere, because in the end, when you finish a piece of design, it can look very, very different from the inspiration. And it's very important not to hold on to that original inspiration, but to try to let the process of design takes its course until it becomes something that's really different and beautiful. Many people say that you recognize a Kenneth Cobonpue piece when you see one. And I think that's part of the initial experience that you have, that you see something that you like. You know? And back then, when I didn't have a name, I had to stand on the strength of the pieces alone. And slowly, as I started to form my own portfolio, my own collection, then my identity starts to grow. And this is what's happening now in Filipino design. As more and more designers come up, Filipino design starts to take shape. It starts to change. It starts to, it starts to be recognizable in the world. And hopefully it's something that's unique, that people can say, oh, that must be made in the Philippines. Filipino design is always evolving, and its definition will change with the course of history. Right now, we say it's Filipino made because there's a lot of handwork in it, like weaving or mosaic or craftsmanship or beading, and the materials are only found in Southeast Asia. But I think that will slowly change. Just like when I made the Bloom chair uses all materials coming from Europe. It's made of steel, fabric, it's a traditional upholstery chair, but the workmanship that goes into it, the delicate lines, the craftsmanship, and the skill with which you need to make the piece is definitely Filipino. My advice to younger designers is to be like a sponge, to take in not only things that you see about design, but everything from art to fashion to culture, and take all that, mix it with your own unique identity, and try to create something that's beautiful, that's one of a kind. You know? And I think that formula will always produce something that's very different and timeless and Filipino.